Okay, I'm getting everything set up here and working on helping everybody know what's going on with the payroll protection program as well as unemployment. So basically, hopefully, if you're watching this, you can hear okay. But what's going on is that a lot of people have submitted payroll protection loans applications. We probably helped submit over $500,000 worth of loans, which of course, remember the payroll protection loan is actually something that can become forgivable, ideally if it's used for the intended purpose, which means that you might get this amount of 20,000 or whatever 2.5 times your payroll is, which when you're a self-employed person is your Schedule C number. If you use it to pay yourself or pay payroll, you can apply for it to be forgiven, and then it means it's basically a grant, free money. So with that, some questions that have been coming up with a lot of people that I wanted to address are related to the actual application of the PPP. So what documents do you need? I've been working with several different banks to help clients get loans, or maybe better, I've been working with several different clients to help people get the information they need. And it's a little bit different depending on who you talk to. So the law, unfortunately, is vague, and it's also not very helpful. So what we have to kind of rely on, and that's what we're here for, is to help you with advice on how to approach this, because none of the applications are really built for sole proprietors, and especially for sole proprietors who have employees. The 940s, one of those qualifications that it's talking about is your payroll tax for last year. If you're sole proprietor with no employees, that does not apply to you. So what do we need to provide? We need to provide your income statement. Ideally, you have a bookkeeper who's finished your 2019 income statement, sometimes called your profit and loss, especially in QuickBooks. And so with that, you then have the raw materials we would use to prepare your Schedule C. Your Schedule C is your business income on your personal tax return. Now, I have had people who we don't have their tax return done for one reason or another, because we always need to have the bookkeeping done and then do your tax return. So if you don't have your tax return from us, we're working to get as many of the Schedule Cs done as fast as we can. And that means your tax return. We don't really do things in parts because other parts talk to it. But if you looked at the letter of the law, it's saying just a Schedule C or a draft Schedule C. Very worst case scenario, what you could do is take your income statement that you have, whether you prepared it or somebody else, and then also get the raw form of the Schedule C and fill that out with those numbers, and just make sure they know that it's something that you prepared to help them have info. Okay, so that's for sole proprietor, self-employed people. So if you're self-employed and you have employees, the amount you should be requesting is your net average payroll for yourself is your net income, plus whatever your average monthly payroll is for your employees. So it's possible to be requesting an amount both from your Schedule C and from these 940s. If you need help, reach out. The other big question around that is, is there still money available? And it seems like the answer is maybe not. So if you haven't already applied, maybe you won't, but I would still suggest applying if you haven't, just because it's, potentially a very big help for you if you've been affected by this. The other thing is better to get the application in and then work with the lender to get all the finalized documents. We have had people let us know that they got approved for the loan, but they haven't actually closed on it. So part of the closing process is final review of all of the documents needed. The legislative intent, okay, so when we're talking about when things get passed, is to help businesses quickly get money to stay in business. So that's why the letter of the law in this case isn't as important as what is the intent. The intent is to help people get money to keep their business going and stay employed. Related to that, unemployment, especially in Washington, unemployment opens on the 18th for sole proprietors, self-employed people. So if you were affected by COVID and you qualify for the unemployment, apply for the unemployment. If you get the payroll protection program loan, then what you need to do is go off of unemployment for that period of time, after which you may be able to apply for unemployment again. So check with your state, sole proprietors especially. You should be able to qualify for unemployment if you don't have the payroll protection loan. You can't do both, is my understanding. So just make sure when we're in this world of uncertainty, just be as transparent and honest as possible, because the reality is people are going to make mistakes. If you make a mistake intentionally or without disclosure, that's typically what we would call fraud. So we don't want to be intentionally misleading people, but I do think that going out of your way to apply to things that you're entitled to is the right answer. The other thing that has been coming up is that if you haven't received your stimulus check, where is it? Unfortunately, it seems like the IRS is still working to update some of this stuff. So some people received money, some people didn't. I didn't receive money yet, and it says they can't find me. So the reality is that I think the IRS just has a huge volume to work through. And unfortunately, the best advice I have for you is to wait and see. If you can't find yourself on the IRS lookup tool, then the advice is really just wait and see for a week. You could certainly call the IRS, but I'm going to assume that wait time is very long, and even if you get through it, I'm not sure how much help they'll actually be. So payroll protection, use your income statement. If you have finished your tax return, use just your Schedule C numbers. If you have employees, add your Schedule C to your 940 numbers. If you need help with any of that, we've been helping people do that, and we're not charging. We're helping people fill out their applications. And then apply for unemployment if you qualify, as far as like not having income right now. If you get the PPP loan, tell them to go off of unemployment with your state. Washington opens the 18th. Your stimulus check, if you haven't received it, check on the tool, which we emailed out to you. And if you're not there, unfortunately, my best advice is to wait. Or you can give the IRS a call. So that's just a quick update on where we are with stuff. I think a lot of this money is being funded and being used up. Unfortunately, there's a lot of very large small businesses. So a lot of our clients, around 500,000 or less, are considered very small or micro compared to some of these small businesses who are more in the $5 million mark. So a lot of that money went pretty quickly. And I think the other things, just reach out if there's anything that we can help you with, because that's what we're here for.